right, I'm back to talk about another topic. I'm trying to do this clean, one take. That's how I like to do a lot of my stuff. Wanted to talk about a topic that I call conscious consumerism. It could be called a lot of things. Very applicable to kind of marketing to young people, my marketing strategies that I've used to sell clothes to students, and kind of my personal beliefs as well. It's all kind of congruent in the concept of conscious consumerism. So how I would describe conscious consumerism is a rebuttal to the way people normally buy products. That being impulse purchasing products that do not give people basically a clean conscience. So an example of a kind of conscious consumerism trend is the emergence and kind of popularity of veganism, or whatever the hell you call that. Basically, people trying to absolve themselves of kind of the sins of corporations, the sins of a certain type of market. I think vintage is a great example of conscious consumerism. The emergence and popularity now of secondhand clothing is, like, to me, a direct rebuttal to fast fashion, to bullshit clothes, trash quality clothes. People want something that's better quality. People want something that they can buy and not be complicit in, child slaves or whatever the fuck these, large corporations are doing to create, cheap clothes. So this trend of conscious consumerism, which I would call it a trend or a marketing strategy, whatever you want to call it. I think calling it a marketing strategy kind of demeans it a bit, because it's not necessarily about marketing per se, because what you really want to do is you want to tell people the truth and sell a good product, not swindle them into thinking you're selling a product that's clean. You want to sell a legitimately kind of clean product that people can have no guilt buying. So I wouldn't really necessarily call it a strategy, but it is a strategy in a sense. You're capitalizing on people's mindsets, and hopefully people's mindsets in the future continue to move towards, products that don't require, kind of child slavery or things of that nature, kind of things that we consider to be sinful, bad, whatever you want to call it. I think that conscious consumerism as a trend does kind of create, I don't know, it's kind of ironic, right? Because what we're trying to do, if we're in a conscious consumerism space, like, secondhand clothes, is say, listen, this is the real deal, okay? This is the best you can get for the money. This is clean. Let me tell you the truth. I'm going to give you the truth about consumerism. I'm going to give you the truth about everything. And this product is the one. I think there's a problem with that. Obviously, the end of conscious consumerism, or the, let's say, predictable path that conscious consumerism would take, is to deny the importance of material objects, especially non-essential goods like clothes, right? So I don't know if it's considered a paradox or not, but, eventually, if people continue to ask questions about products, ask questions about production, ask questions about where they're getting their clothes, inevitably they will ask the question, why do I buy blank clothes, food, whatever? And part of their answer, if they're a conscious consumer, is, I buy it because I align with basically the brand that I'm buying. I ideologically connect with the brand, with the person who runs it, with whoever, right? The conscious consumer is an ideological buyer, not an impulse buyer. They are looking to be absolved of the sins of, corporations, bad corporations that sell bad clothing and all that shit, whatever. So here's the paradox. You have to market to people who, if they continue on their journey of kind of conscious consumerism will inevitably deny the importance of, let's say, clothing, right? How many items of clothes do you really need, right? This is a question that your market will come to and say, well, I don't need that many articles of clothing. It's not important. People shouldn't be judged on what they wear, and, if what they wear is expensive or not or whatever. They shouldn't be judged on it at all. It's honestly not important at all. Clothing is not important, right? This is something that I truly believe. I enjoy vintage clothes, and as a part of my profession, I, buy and sell and keep some and whatever. But ultimately, I do understand, clothing is really not that big of a deal. If the biggest problem in your life is what clothes you buy, you have a serious psychological issue. Or you're extremely lucky, either one. Some would say being extremely lucky gives you, kind of maybe a bad outlook on life. Who knows? So your marketing, we want to create products that appeal to people who are conscious, who are, I don't know if mature is the best way to use that term, who align with us ideologically. I'll just say me. I want to sell clothes to people who ideologically align with me in the fact that clothing does not matter, right? This is a paradox. This is a joke. And this is kind of I'm trying to put insight on the force of advertisement, right? You can't advertise to people in a way that makes them not want to buy products. That's why kind of consumerism and materialism has become just like everything in our social lives, in, basically our social lives, right? You're judging people based on the things that they buy, the way that they buy them, whatever. That's such a huge part of American culture because for, decades and decades, businessmen have understood you can't, or if you want to stay in business, you can't, lead people down the path of denying the importance of, non-essential material goods. So for someone like me, it's like, I can't tell people that clothing doesn't matter. Or, I mean, I guess I can, but it wouldn't do really wonders for my business, I don't believe, if people legitimately cared about what I have to think, which, they may or may not. It's a funny paradox about kind of the path of conscious consumerism. And I think it's a good thing. I don't think it's a bad thing. I'm not saying, conscious consumerism is bad because people like me aren't going to be able to make money. People will always be able to make money and, capitalize on societal trends. But I think it's a funny thing, trying to reach a more, I won't say mature audience or kind of a wise audience is kind of a paradox in itself, because people who are wise and smart, first thing they aren't doing is going on social media. It's an absolute fucking joke. It's not valuable unless you are making money doing it and are able to support yourself. And then secondly, they're not concerned with what crew neck they're wearing. Frankly, they're not. Yeah, it's kind of funny. It leaves me in my life in a hard place, or a crossroads between being honest in all of my endeavors and trying to kind of pursue the truth and act in accordance with the truth and, supporting myself, which I think everyone is going through now where, we're growing up, we got to get jobs, we got to pay the bills, and it's figuring out, how can I pay bills? How can I live while staying in connection with my values? Yeah. I will say, in terms of as a final note, conscious consumerism clothing is a great place to start selling if you are interested in conscious consumerism, because clothing, unlike, appliances, pens, tools, things that people buy like that, I mean, clothing and the success of a clothing line is really based upon image. You are selling people an image of themselves. You are selling them an item, and it says, they wear it and it says, I am this person. This is who I am. So it's a social signal. That's clothing more than, more than basically, I would say, every other good that's sold in America and other places is just so socially driven to the point where, people are buying Nike. They're not athletes. They just like the athletic, they like the brand of Nike. It's techie. It's whatever the fuck, Conscious consumerism, you can use that and you can create a good product and you can be honest with people and say, hey, this is like exactly what I do and it's totally, brutality free and you should buy it. And that's saying something about you. You're the one who's, killing the game when you buy this because you're staying in contact, in connection with your values. And that's a really good way to make, make your brand is appealing to people who have legitimate concerns and, connection to their values. That's huge. But yeah, that's all for today. 2 in a row. We're going 1 and 2. I hope you guys enjoyed this one as well. And I'll talk to you guys later.